mentioned early on that DT drops are a great way to kind of backstab while you're fighting. That's kind of exactly what we saw there, so I can give myself a little bit of a pat on the back. But it was just really cool to watch the execution there, to just snipe that one cannon immediately, and all of a sudden you realize, wait a second, everything can totally fall apart if you don't have every little avenue of shored up. So that's actually pretty impressive. So I mean, we talked about how Yeti was a very strong player for Netwars before that, and I'm glad that we could shore up our analysis and our characterization of him as a player.
Yeah, we're really starting. Like now, we're in round 2, and we're starting to see more of the teams interact than maybe didn't beforehand. One of the cool things for me is we're slowly starting to see more and more stories emerge. And one thing I do want to do this round, which I started to do at the beginning of last round but kind of fell off of doing it, is I'm going to make sure I get winners interviews as well with the man of the matches or whatever. So hopefully I can get one from White. It's going to be a little bit harder from them, but I'll do my best to translate from Korean to Japanese and translate out of Japanese into English, because I can do that. I just can't do the other part. But Google Translate translates Korean to Japanese really, really well, so it's not a problem.
Yeah, if you want a little bit of a tip, the Naver Translate actually does really, really well between Japanese and Korean.
Oh, really?
So if you want to go to Papago, that's their Naver Translate app. It's like specifically designed to work very well with translating Korean to Japanese.
Oh, nice. I've loaded up the next replay, by the way.
I would need to exit the previous replay. Some of us are just a little bit behind. My caster APM is just not what it used to be, Kick.
But especially not at nearly 6 a.m.
All right. Yes. Quite. I'm just gonna keep going until we finish, and then pass out after that, because the GSL qualifiers, offline qualifiers, are actually this morning, really near my house. So I'm gonna be going to those. So might get a couple of cheeky hours of sleep in there, but we'll see how it goes.
So you're gonna be playing in this GSL? Are you gonna make it? Is this your big debut?
No, but I think Artosis and I are gonna sign up for the KPL qualifiers, or the KSL qualifiers.
Oh,
so
that'd be really cool. Yeah. I still haven't actually seen you play Brood War. Like, I know we spoke about it a bit when you were at my flat, but like, it'd be nice to see you actually play. So.
You. Yeah, I don't think it would actually be very nice to see me play. So I'm just gonna veto that one. I could. Unfortunately, I'd like to keep you as a friend and not have you as somebody who is going to hate me for the rest of my life. So we'll hold off on that for a little bit.
Okay, that's fine. It's just one of those things that happens. But we're going to be heading on to a really cool second game here. I'm actually just quickly finishing setting up the overlay. It should be done in just a second, and then we can introduce the players and introduce the map they're going to be playing on. I know you guys already know because we're in the game, but let's move on over to the overlay and have a look.
Could be anyone.
It could. It really could be anyone. Just imagine if you hadn't seen the thread beforehand. This is going to be a massive surprise, or even the cast earlier. But here we go. Let's move on over to the overlay and let's have a look at who is going to be playing in our second game between iRk and Netwars. And by the way, it's not a screwdriver at my door, it's a set of keys. But there we go. As you can see here on the screen, it's going to be a ZVZ. It's going to be for iRk, one of the old school players, one of the most famous foreign players, I would say. It's going to be iRk, used to play for TOT. It's going to be Naugrim.
Yeah, one of the most famous Templars of Twilight out there for a very, very long time. Actually surprised. So the media is playing this season, and actually most of the players on media are also former TOT members too. So I definitely thought Naugrim might have also in control and those guys. I think G5 was also TOT for a while, right? I might be mistaken about that one, but yeah, there's a lot of TOT members on there too. So I thought Naugrim was gonna just be a sick trader and go back over to the newer incarnation of a bunch of the guys he used to be on the same team with. But no, he's just been around basically forever, and yeah, he's a super accomplished foreign player.
Yeah, and his opponent is no slouch himself. It's one of the most famous modern foreign players. There was a period when I first came back to casting And when I first came back to Brood War, because I had a little bit of a break, it's Trutacz, fighting for Net Wars. Now, I believe Trutacz actually... Zero would have to correct me, I'm probably wrong, Zero may actually be in bed by now, but I believe Trutacz actually won the BSL 1 and 2 because they were Polish-only tournaments. And I believe he did win those, so Trutacz, like when I came back to casting, it was Trutacz and Neon Zerg. They were winning absolutely everything. And Trutacz hasn't been as active recently. He's had a little bit of a break from the game. He did actually go 0 for 1 last round. But this is going to be his chance for redemption. And they're going to be playing a ZVZ on Triathlon. Now, I'm not really sure how ZVZ is going to play out on this, but maybe when we get into the game, Cadenzi might have some insight.
Yeah, before you can go ahead and start the game, but just as an interesting tidbit, you were right that Trutacz did win the first 2 Bombastic Star Leagues. Do you know who he beat in the finals of both Bombastic Star Leagues?
Hook by any chance?
No, it was 0 both times.
Oh, unlucky 0. He also won, apparently he won BSL 3 as well, BSL 2.5, which was LAN, so... I mean, Trutacz, one of the strongest Polish players for sure. Let's have a look at the game and let's see how he's going to do here against an old school guy.
All right, so the replay is started. This is a ZVZ, so I guess Cadenzi, this is your specialty.
Yeah, well, we should introduce the players first, right? So on the bottom left corner here, it's the white player, iRk's Naugrim.
And spawning up here in the top middle 12 o'clock position, we do have the Red Zerg fighting for Net Wars. It's going to be Trutacz.
Okay, so like similarly to maps like Outsider and maybe like Gold Rush or Third World even, you can take like a back base as your expansion, and then that opens up a lot of differences to your normal ZVZ. So you can actually like put like a sunken down in your main, and you don't even need Zerglings really, because no one can attack your third base at all. I mean your natural at all.
I guess the one problem is, and one thing I've seen a lot in games on this map, especially ZVZ back in the Clash for Char, is sometimes if you go for that back base and the other person does like in-base 2-hatch Zergling, and you only have one sunken, things don't go very well. You can't get those Zerglings back out to defend from your second hatchery.
Yeah, but you should see by then that they've made even more than 2 Zerglings, and then you should throw down a second sunken always. At least that's what Jaedong says you should do.
Yeah, I mean, if this were a 4-player map, then obviously you might just never scout your opponent. Then you're just totally screwed if it's a build or a loss. But I think not Polish Zero is here watching, winner of both Bombastic Star Leagues and Emperor of the World. The Zerg player Zero in South Korea was a pretty big fan of maps like this because he was a late game ZBZ like mastermind. So he always did really well when it came to safe bases in ZVZ.
Yeah, the other thing, Zero is definitely one of those players that, I mean, I followed Brood War from about 2008 pretty much religiously up until like professional Brood War technically ended, and one of the things that I always thought, I'm not really sure how many people agree with me, but I've always thought that the next sort of TBLS was going to be Zero, Jangbi, and Fantasy. Like, they were all really good at the end of Brood War. Like, they were doing so good. It really does make me wish I could go back in time and see what would have happened if StarCraft 2 never came out. Just to see how the game would have evolved from there and how dominant they really became. But I mean, going back to our game here, it looks like there's not really too much crazy going on. We do have Trutacz going for a very early base, so that could come in something.
Yeah, Trutacz went hatchery first, and Naugrim actually went overgas, the very early overgas with 6 Zerglings now as well.
He's getting that there straight away, so...
But he's not going for his Zergling speed.
Yeah, he seems to be skipping that. Maybe he wants to tech up really quickly as soon as his Spire ends, because he is sitting at nearly 300 minerals, 300 gas. Is there any reason you could think of doing that?
Okay, throws in an in-base second hatchery instead of the back one that I was expecting. Interesting.
I almost feel like going for the in-base second hatchery is kind of redundant here, because I suppose it does allow you to build more ground units. Maybe that's what he's going for. Maybe this is some kind of crazy Zergling all in. But without Zergling speed and lair, I think that seems to be incorrect.
I feel like he should have threw it down at the back base to get the second gas as quickly as he can.
Yeah, I think no, you're right. This seems to be a little bit contradictory, because if you're going to go in base hatchery, then obviously that's going to be for ground units. But if you're going to tech to lair this quickly, then that would be for mutas. So I don't know. I mean, I think you would want the extra gas, but I guess he wants to make sure that he can make Zerglings to hold on until he gets mutas.
He's not going for the sunken though. He's just adding on Zerglings instead, which is also a little bit strange normally with this overgas build. You want to throw down sunkens and make drones, but he's making Zerglings off of one hatchery right now, which isn't going to be enough to hold off the double hatchery spam of Zerglings.
Yeah, it's actually a little bit risky as well. As you saw there, he actually got up the ramp, and he's doing a lot of damage to Naugrim's Lings, and of course Naugrim only has the one base worth of mining. Trutacz, of course, is adding on a lot of Lings. He's not adding on too many drones himself, but the only real advantage that Naugrim's going to have is this quick Aspire. And that's if he survives long enough.
Yeah, he's not going to be able, surely, to survive long enough to make the mutas. He's only just now starting his creep colony, and there's Zerglings already wailing away in his drones.
Also the Spire as well. This is such a huge moment. Can he hold on? It's going to be so close.
Yeah, he's going to kill the Spire, or just, kill a bunch of drones. The
Spire's going to go down. He doesn't cancel it either.
Yeah, no, this is GG. That you can't win from here. That's pretty tragic.
Yeah, there's so many Zerglings coming across here as well.
I mean, that's what happens. This whole in-base natural or hatchery, I'm still kind of wondering about that. Like, how is that build supposed to work? I don't know. You're the ZVZ expert here, Cadenzi.
And
well,
GG.
It doesn't really make any sense, because he's playing against someone who made hatchery first and is spamming out Zerglings, and well, you're not going to be able to fight that with just Zerglings. So it's kind of redundant. You should just make a couple of sunkens, definitely.
Yeah, that was a little bit unfortunate for Naugrim. His plan didn't quite work out. Didn't manage to hold onto his main ramp, and I guess that's why Jaedong says to build those sunkens in your main and just skip Zerglings altogether. Because, I mean, you would have thought with the earlier second hatchery, well, I don't think it was earlier, but either way, you would have thought he'd be able to hold onto his ramp, but unfortunately, he just didn't have enough Zerglings.
Yeah, I think a lack of a sunken is really like the glue that kind of holds that together. Like he built the sunken, but it was like way too late. So if he has that earlier, I think he, maybe he doesn't hold, maybe he still takes a lot of damage, but at least the mutas get out. I don't know what the future of that looks like, because I'm not quite that clairvoyant, but I think it was a pretty solid win for Trutacz. He kind of identified really quickly that he had the advantage, just really pushed it through. So GG.
Yeah, that was a good game, and we have an even better one coming up here, because this is going to be a game of foreign titans, as it were. And I mean, if you've seen the thread earlier, you'll be able to see it, but I'm just toasting the replay now, so we can jump in. I can finish setting up the overlay, and then we can get going with our third game, and it should be a good one.
Alright, let me just, download this at 1 kilobyte per second here. Aha!
Here's the titans of the teams.
Are there titans in the walls?
I will quickly sort that. I just need to quickly regenerate the old game and just redo the results. Like, one problem is when you build this, like, I mean, you've seen how weird my overlay system is in person, and it's kind of awkward to use. So still, it does a good job. I'm quite happy with how it does, and I think it puts on a decent overlay for the STPL. So I'm just going to report that match again. That's actually going to take NetWars 2-0 up against iRk here. So this could be a pretty big upset, I would say. iRk definitely one of the stronger teams from round 1.